Oh, it's nice to be able to actually just wear the clown suit for once, so that way I can prepare the circus preparation. Although, to be fair, I didn't seem to able to brought the circus tent or anything like that, or perhaps maybe due to the likes of, well, the circus tents have been destroyed from, ever since in Super Mario 3D World. But I digress. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Mario here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we actually did completely done with everything in the forms of the Lost Kingdom. Like, we've actually got every single Power Moons, and especially noticeable with the regional coins as well. So today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be approaching back into the forms of Metro Kingdom, in this case New Donk City mind you, and that way we can now actually do some even more missions, and eventually at this point we might actually go ahead and just go after any kind of regional coins around here, but it all depends on that really, because at the moment that I believe we're actually on the halfway point already, just because you know how the fact that we've already activated the moon rock, and also as a result that we're almost there to like quite close towards the end of grabbing these every single regional coins in Metro Kingdom so far. So yeah, it's glad to be back to able to actually just get back into this kingdom, because even then that easily this is without a doubt the best kingdom in the entire game in my opinion, just because, well, it's just simply amazing to look at, especially with, Horizon, and especially noticeable for basically for pretty much everything. So, anyways though, so let's go ahead and just capture ourselves these letters right there, which might be a little bit familiar to you guys, and that's where you have to spell out Mario, because even I know what's amazing is that you can actually just decide to move those letter fonts right there into its corresponding place. Like, for instance, we have to place M, A, R, I, and O at the end. And that way, once we've spelled out Mario from this point, that way, I believe we get ourselves the next Power Moon from here. So, I don't really believe that, and I'm assuming that for this matter, I don't think this won't count for, the Moon Rock challenges or anything like that. So, naturally speaking, that's as far as I can say about it here. So, Mario signs his name. Which, yes, that is me, Mario, that's my name. But anyways, though, so, yeah, today was actually forms of, the 22nd of March in 2019, so, anyways, though, if we manage to sit onto that little, chair right there, that way we can actually get ourselves our next Power Moon, which I somehow accidentally ignored that on the, whenever first time I've, been to this place. So I have no idea why I just potentially ignoring that, although it's because I was focusing on something else, most notably with, the main game and the rest. So yeah, that's as far as I can see how this will go. So yeah, for the most part though, not much else to really talk about this at this point, other than I've already mentioned about the forms of several game announcements for the Nintendo Switch due to the likes of the ND Showcase by the forms of about 2 days ago so far, that I've already mentioned about Cuphead is now finally is going to be released on the Nintendo Switch, even though I think I've sort of said this before, although maybe not. But apparently, though, I did accidentally say that we might actually hopefully get ourselves the physical version of Cuphead for the Nintendo Switch, at least in our country. But I was totally wrong, because I believe only American might actually get it. So, because even then, though, just like the ones in, for the likes of, the Mega Man Legacy collections, that they did have a physical versions for North American only. But even then, though, that's kind of a shame that we don't get ourselves a physical formation. So, oh shoot! I was really hoping I can get that, the next Power Moon right there by simply we have to capture the bird. But I get a strong feeling about the fact that we need to re-grab that again, because we didn't grab the Power Moon in time. So, yeah, but I guess we'll have to try that again. So, that was kind of my fault, especially because of how the fact that I accidentally just do a little bit of a diving maneuver by accident. So, anyway though, yeah, it's kind of a shame, but at least even then though, much like in Sonic Mania back in 2017, that I don't mind actually having Cuphead as a digital download version of Cuphead. So naturally, because, I'm very glad that I can now able to try and play that game out until when it gets to the point until next month, as I said this before. in the 18th of April, so naturally it's on Thursday, I believe. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that, as I said this during the likes of it yesterday, so... And another thing is worth mentioning, though, is the fact that, what else did I say? Oh, yeah. You know how yesterday I've already mentioned about this before in yesterday's video? About the fact that another announcement has been revealed by the forms of the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch game, which appears to be Konami's 50th anniversary collection, which actually, you know, contains like 3 different packs, which there are arcade classic games, Castlevania games, and Contra games. So even then, though, I believe each pack only contains like 8 each pack. So we'll start with the forms of like, let's just say the classic games first. So even then, though, the first games they have for the classic section, we have I would say Twin Bee, Scramble, Thundercross, Life Force, and I think they do have like a different names for that as well. Like, for instance, Life Force, aka Salamander. I think that's what the actual like other, also known as that particular name title. And especially notable, there's also one which is Falcon Venture, aka Gladius 2, and Nemesis, aka Gladius, and Typrone, also known as Ajax, I'm presuming that's meta. And finally, Haunted Castle, which I think that's actually inspired the forms of the Castlevania series. Well, at least the gameplay of Haunted Castle plays exactly like the Castlevania game, but the only major difference is obviously a little bit more tricky and arcadic and all that stuff, and that's the 8 of them they've got. So even then, though, that's pretty solid library so far, especially because of how the fact that I'm really looking forward to trying out Haunted Castle, because it plays exactly like the Castlevania game, but even then, I digress. So here we go, folks. Here we go onto the actual screen projector about the forms of reaction onto the big screen that we actually play in the actual Super Mario Bros. Game. So even then, though, because as you can see, most of the crowds, especially most other people, are actually watching me going through World 1-1 apparently, which is essentially a recreation of the original game. But the noticeable difference is here that we actually have ourselves 2 objectives, which there are. Well, one of them is pretty obvious, is the fact that we need to grab every single of those moon shards, as you can see right there. And then once you grab all 5 of them, then obviously the mission itself will be completed. And there's also another one in here as well, which I'll show that off whenever we get to this point. But let's just go ahead and... Oh, I failed my jump! But that's okay though, because I believe there's actually a hidden block right there. Yeah, just like in the forms of how it does it in New Super Mario Bros. 2, but to be more specifically in the Gold Classics pack, that you can able to actually find that hidden block until you're able to go back up again. Well, at least to be more specifically for that staircase you go. So yeah, this is where normally the flagpole was originally located from this point. And before you leave, especially notable for obtaining that power moon, as you can see there, we need to hit back, because obviously there's going to be a second power moon that we can able to get. And let's go ahead and regenerate our health quickly, and things should be all sorted by then. And we need to get down to this pipe. You go down there, and basically you get yourselves another power moon. So even then, though, we got ourselves down inside the big screen. So now we need to get out of here, but this time around though, we have to get that power moon right after whenever I got out of the big screen. So yeah, that's as far as I can see how this will go. Unfortunately, I don't think I can able to get this kingdom in time for this video, but definitely in the next couple of days, I should be able to get back into the forms of like, or essentially fully completed the Metro Kingdom throughout. So it all depends on that really, because of how the fact that, well, most of the missions can go a little bit more easy and simple at first, especially how the fact that it goes really fast later on. But most of the missions later on though, especially with the forms of like that one mission itself, or actually 2 missions actually, well perhaps even more than that until later on though, that the actual missions themselves, well, some of them can be very ridiculously difficult, but you'll see why whenever we get to the next video of this. So at least to be more specifically, whenever we get to the jump rope challenge, I think I already mentioned about this back in about a year ago, that how the fact that, well, the first first level was not that much of a difficult mind of its own thing, but the second portion, however, though, is actually a lot more difficult than it looks, because you have to get up to 100 jumps, and believe me, the timing skills of that specific jump rope minigame is actually a little bit tough and difficult in my opinion. But even then, though, that I know you guys are probably gonna say that aren't you supposed to be able to use that little cheating method, which I was like, if only I can't do it by the forms of like for entertain any other players out there, or in this case every other people out there. But I believe honestly, I think I should probably do that after this next video. Well, at least in terms of before the next video is actually gonna be up. So but I really do sorry about the forms of how the fact that I might as well able to cheat the actual thing right there, which I know you probably guys could clearly tell that you might actually like dislike the video, but either way though, speaking of dislikes actually, that oh actually there's something down there, which I'm assuming there might be actually be some more regional coins there. So even then we got 86 so far out of 100, so hopefully we should be able to get to this point. So anyway though, yeah, about the fact that the reason why back in the likes of in part 26 or something of our Let's Play of Super Mario Odyssey, I've no idea why that we actually got ourselves 2 dislikes. Let me know in the comments below of why that's been happening, or perhaps it's maybe because I said something a little bit more upsetting for most fans out there, or perhaps maybe it's something else. But again, I can't really exactly explain how that happened, but either way though, that's as far as I can say about it here. So anyway though, yeah, I guess that's about it. So anyways though, speaking of such, before you mention about the forms of more information about the forms of Konami's 50th anniversary collection about the Castlevania section, originally about the fact that I believe that Sonic and Pinkie Pie was stated earlier about the fact that we did manage to able to obtain you know, Crash Nitro card for the original Xbox, that we did manage to order that, but I'm afraid we actually got ourselves rigged by the forms of some sellers out there, because either way, I was really looking forward to able to trying out Crash Nitro card for the original Xbox game, and somehow for whatever reason the eBay seller decides to troll us, so that, well, all we get is just pointless card merchandise items. So that's a bit pointless to me. So even then though that, excuse me, that I was really looking forward to that still, but it's just a shame that the actual, like, the eBay item just keeps on trolling us, even especially because of how the fact that, well, I was expecting if we actually get something from this point on, but I'm guessing it might be something more accurately. I just cannot really much to say about this here. So anyway, so let's go ahead and, no, that's not enough for going up there. So let's try and go somewhere else for this part, and hopefully we might try it again with Crash Nitro cards obtaining game, but either way though, I don't know exactly when though, because obviously we need to be able to like save some cash for this point right now for Team Sonic Racing at this point. So anyways, there's that silver pipe right there, or the rock pipe I should say, so that way we could able to do with this section here. So yeah, that's as far as I can say about it here, but it's just a shame that I didn't seem to able to try out Crash Nitro card on the Xbox at this point now, so because of that, eBay seller just managed to troll me, so that's kind of a shame. It happens in most of the occasional moments, especially because, well, if you're thinking about whatever you're trying to get— oh, dang it! I guess we'll have to restart that. So, anyway, back to what I was saying about the forms of the Konami's 50th anniversary collection, so far anyway, is the fact that, well, they did actually reveal 4 games so far out of 8 games for the Castlevania lineup, which, the collections are, for Castlevania lists so far they've got, we have the original Castlevania, which is clearly obvious, and Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, a great choice actually, because unlike the classic, NES Classic Mini, that in NES Classic Mini did manage to only obtain Castlevania 1 and 2 on that particular system, but not Dracula's Curse for some reason. I think it's because of the difficulty, or perhaps it's maybe because of something else completely. And also they've got Castlevania 2, no, not Castlevania, you know, Simon's Quest for the NES, but instead it's actually Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge for the original Game Boy, which is kind of a cool choice because I know for the fact that I've heard that the first Castlevania the Castlevania The Adventure game on the Game Boy was actually probably the weakest Castlevania games in the entire series, as far as I've heard, because of how clunky the controls are. And well, I did usually still own the WiiWare version, which I'm afraid to say, guys, you're no longer gonna have to get that now, because even then, the Wii Shop channel is now dead. It's no longer existence. But anyway, hanging between buildings, which I'm presuming you're originally gonna do that by simply pressing a switch or something, or in this case by ground pounding a switch and stuff. So, anyways, that's that done. And I believe I did manage to briefly solve Princess Peach for a second ago, but I don't think I can able to make it for this point from that specific checkpoint flag, so I need to able to figure out specifically to able to actually reach to her. So, yeah, I'll try to figure it out. So, anyway, as for the actual predictions of the last 4 games with the Castlevania series of titles at this point. Oh yeah, and also the final game they did actually got in the forms of the Castlevania games currently at the moment, which is Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo, which is another good choice because some people seem to think that this is one of the greatest Super Nintendo games of all time, which I have to agree. Even though I haven't really played that game yet because I need to get a lot of focusing on too much Castlevania stuff, even with completionist stuff included. But anyways, before we mention more on that, there's Princess Peach right there, and the frame rate starts to drop a little bit, so that's not good. So anyways though, the buildings, the people, the taxis, there's so much to see here. There are so many people here, I'm a bit overwhelmed. Seems to me. Oh, almost forgot, I found a power moon in a crowd. Add it to your collection. So once again, obtained the power moon from Princess Peach, of course. So yeah, nice for her. You know, what I'm thinking about. The smell of the ocean. Maybe I could visit. I believe what she was trying to say, that the next destination she was on about, she might actually go to the Seaside Kingdom next. Which, I don't know if she might actually go for that, I think there might... Oh, forget what I just said. Anyway, I was expecting if she might actually go to the Snow Kingdom first, but it turns out it was actually the Seaside Kingdom next. So, yeah, I'm guessing that would be the next hint. But, I'm afraid we can't do that in the next video, because we are still continuing exploring through, Metro Kingdom at the moment, specifically for the Power Moons, and especially noticeable with, you know, the last few pieces of those regional coins throughout. So, even though it might take a really long time to able to actually just to find them all, but hopefully we'll find some of them for the time. So anywho though, back to what I was saying, by the forms of the actually the reason why as you can see that we actually got ourselves our clown suit with us, because if you talk to this little townspeople right there, one of them in here, then when you wear the crown outfit, then, or the clown outfit, I should say, that way you get yourselves a power moon. So, surprise, clown. So, that's a little bit of the reason why I just managed to wear that in the first place. So, anyways, that's that. And we got 63 of those power moons so far, out of 81 of these. So, I believe it's safe to say that although, technically speaking, that Sand Kingdom does have a lot, I mean a lot of power moons so far, on new forms of that specific, the entire, game, as far as I'm concerned. So, well, technically speaking, only the likes of, the Mushroom Kingdom does have a lot of these power moons / power stars, if you will. So, yeah, that's as far as I can being fully questioned about. So, anyways, though, let's just go ahead and, I don't know, what should I do, to be honest. Although, there is a Koopa free running, event that's been going on, but, I gotta have to figure out where I'm supposed to go for this point. So, because of that, well, it seems more accurately, we've pretty much almost nearly towards, we seem to be almost, be finished by now with the forms of Super Mario Odyssey at this rate. Well, unless if, Piglet needs to get back into, Super Mario Galaxy Let's Play, especially that he's now going to be doing the Luigi playthrough of the game, even though, technically, some people seem to be able to, like, well, just seems to skip Luigi's playthrough for now, just because, well, he plays exactly like the Mario version, but there are some slight differences, which I'm sure Piglet will mention more on that when it gets to next month or something. So, and hopefully, though, that definitely will get back into Super Mario Galaxy 2 as far as the forms of, you know, the redo Let's Play of it. So, yeah, because of that, though, yeah. Anyways, though, we've not done with this section here, because there's also another Power Moon right there. And that's by simply we have to reach onto that familiar pitch black island, as you can see right there. So, yeah, in order to actually get back is by simply we need to obviously just create these invisible blocks by simply just use your Cappy Throw. So, I highly suggest you do not use the ground pounds from here, because obviously we surrounded by the forms of the poisonous water. So, oh Christ. Okay, so apparently I don't die by that little crushing segment right there, so I guess that makes it okay. So, yeah, because unlike any forms of how it does it on Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, that you were instantly crushed by the forms of, or if you get crushed, then obviously you would able to lose a life instantly. So, yeah, that begs the question of how the fact that they decided to make it safer this time or something. So, there's Pauline right here, and, you know, because it's kind of cool to be able to actually have her as a playable character for the first time in, you know, the Mario spin-off titles now, such as, like, you know, Mario Tennis Aces, which I'm very glad about, but, unfortunately I can't able to play as her until whenever I decide to get her available for free, by the forms of until, at the beginning of April, around the same day as the UK version of Ralph Breaks the Internet, DVD will be arriving. So, but I'm really looking forward to rewatching that film again, because even then I really enjoyed it. So, even though it wasn't as perfect as the first film, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless, though, still. So anyways, though, let's go down to that another rock pipe. Down we go. But this time around, though, this might be a pretty fun one, because we actually got ourselves the motor scooter right there, and that way we can need to be able to use that to traverse. And at the same time, we need to activate the P switches before we do anything about it. So, at least it's pretty fun, though. Until later on, though, I'm not going to mention about this too much, because I know for the fact that, well, it might actually contain some huge spoiler alerts, especially because, you know, that, I would seem to say about the fact that this game is almost going to be, like, a year and 6 months old for this point. Well, almost anyway, until whenever when it gets to, like, well, I would say by the forms of about a year and 6 months old until next month. So, yeah, I can't believe time itself just go really fast and quick kind of thing about it. So anyways, Motor Scooter Daredevil. So anyways, let's get off here and get back out, and we're about to be doing a different missions elsewhere. So anyways, let's get back into the forms of the actual mentioning about the forms of the Castlevania games on you know, the Konami's 50th anniversary collection at the moment. So yeah, these are the 4 games they actually did manage to add it to their selection of games of Castlevania series. They have, well, obviously Castlevania 1, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, Castlevania 2 Game Boy version, but in the forms of Belmont's Revenge, and finally Super Castlevania 4 at the moment. So, as for the other 4, they might actually go ahead and add it in. It's might be my predictions, although it might be entirely up to you guys if you manage to able to actually decide to know what the next set of games they might actually add in between each series. But, usually I'm quite familiar with Castlevania series because I've pretty much owned most of it. Well, some exceptions, which they are the new generation for the Mega Drive, because it's pretty expensive for that specific title, and especially notable with, well, I did manage to own Rondo of Blood for TurboGrafx 16 due to the Nintendo Wii's Virtual Console version after all, especially notable with the forms of Castlevania The Symphony of the Night, aka the best Castlevania game in the entire series period. And, as a result for this matter, I really wish if Castlevania Symphony of the Night will be on the actual, like, the entire collection, because some people really enjoyed the game so much. And that could be also similar plays for, to me anyway, with the forms of Castlevania Rondo of Blood, but I'm guessing they might actually add in the English text, or in this case the English dub version or something like that. But even then, we'll never know. But I'm guessing for this matter, the Konami, 50th Anniversary Collection game won't be releasing until... Oh, shoot! Anyway, the entire collection should be released until at some point in this summer, so, but I might be very excited about that, actually, even though the only thing I'm most likely unsure of is of course, the trophy support, which I was guessing for this matchup for this point, I'm actually going to be going after the PlayStation 4 version, just like in new forms of the Mega Man collections. So, and especially noticeable that I've still managed to go myself the Shantae series kind of thing about it. So, anyways, let's try this, Koopa free running event again. So, and seems more accurately though, it's now apparently raining. So, a little bit interesting for that dynamic from this point. But anyways though, and just like before, to simply get to first place, and then you win for glory. So, but of course you have to do it twice, so even then, no, because we've done this for the first attempt, or in this case, this is actually, attempt number 2, because I accidentally just screwed over by the forms of that, I would classify by the forms of, like, jumping on the, umbrella segment or something, so, but that's okay though, because we're now going to be moving on to the masterclass now, so... I believe fundamentally though, you can able to actually perform a massive shortcut here and there too, like I'll show you in just a moment before we start this off. And you normally think about using the actual, like, flicking the actual forks segments. Well, you able to actually go ahead and just, well, as soon as I try to able to continuously doing some long jumps here and there, and get onto the forms of the zip line right there, and then just go all the way up to the top of the actual tower. And hopefully, if you go all the way up, then you would able to realize there's going to be a giant leaps of faith going on here. Like if I try to long jump right there and do a cappy long jump at the same time, or in this case for this matter, if you manage to do a long jump, then you would able to make it with ease. So yeah, rather no need to able to actually deal with the forms of the forks flicking for that motion. So, but a first attempt, which is pretty awesome at the same time for me. Anyway, though, so, what was another game I was going to be hopefully predicting it with the forms of, the Castlevania collection? I was really hoping that, they were actually going to be bringing it up to Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, because, who could have done it without the, well, obviously we do need the NES, Castlevania trilogy with the forms of the NES games after all, because, without it, then it'll make it incredibly similar to how it does it in Dragon Ball Z Budokai HD collection for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, because they do include Budokai 1 and Budokai 3 on HD collection, but they skipped over Budokai 2. I think it's most likely because of the Dragon World single player campaign is pretty underwhelming, so I guess that makes it obvious here. So and I believe my final prediction game for the Castlevania collection for, Konami's 50th Anniversary Collection game, I'm really hoping that the Castlevania The New Generation will be released, or even especially noticeable with Castlevania Bloodlines, because, well, I haven't really tried out that game yet, because obviously that game is really expensive in the country, because, well, I just do not know how on earth do I supposed to get that, and, that's as far as I can say about the forms of the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which I'm very glad that becomes a thing. And yeah, as far as I can see, well, this will go. And I suppose we could be able to mention about the final thing before we're able to actually continue exploring through the Metro Kingdom, actually. Although, before we do that, actually, let me go ahead and, I'm assuming there might be something missing in this particular section right there. Oh, I see something, because I see these eyes. And it appears to be that, yeah, we have ourselves the Hat and Seek event. So, Hat and Seek in a crowd. So anyways though, let's move on to the third and the final collection pack that has been included with, Konami's 50th anniversary collection's sake. We got ourselves the Contra series, which at the moment, much like in forms of how it does in the Castlevania series, they only have 4 of them at the moment, which there are Contra 1, Super Contra, Super C, and also Contra 3 The Alien Wars, which to me is a pretty good selection so far. And just like in the forms of the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, well, they only off by like 4 remaining. So because of that though, it's kind of hard to predict at this moment, because I haven't really played too much of Contra these days. But I do usually heard of it, but I haven't really played those as much because I've heard the fact that the actual difficulty in these types of games are extremely hard, especially difficulty-wise. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about this for the most part, and yeah, that's what I can really say about it here. So, yeah. Alright, so as you can see, we're actually going to be revisiting to the RC car section here. But, believe me, we have to do this twice. Like, we did this for the first time, but now we need to do this as the second attempt. But this time around, though, I believe we need to beat the time for about under 26 seconds. Which, probably, potentially, because of how the fact that if you do manage to beat it for that time, then you would give yourselves the glorious Power Moon after all. So even then, we got it. So, RC car champ. Alright, not bad. And I think, sim to say, I'm afraid for this point, is the fact that, well, we got 71 Power Moons so far, and we've got 91 of those regional coins, so we've got 9 more regional coins left, and it all comes down to the forms of the final 10 of those Power Moons in the Metro Kingdom, including mission number 30, which means we have to do it with 100 jumps on that freaking high, jump rope challenge. Oh boy. But, we'll mention more on that whenever we get to the next video, which hopefully we can able to get this kingdom completed for the next video. Because of that, though, we need to able to get these kingdoms, finished before we move on to the next set of kingdoms. So, but hopefully we'll get those down in during that time. So even then, though, before we place those, Power Moons in, we'll go ahead and change into a different costume for the next, video. Even though that, once again, much like in the forms of how it does in most of these Let's Plays these days, I'm also able to decide to take a break for this at the moment until either at some point next month, because of how the fact that I need to able to work things out for, just trying to able to collect everything. So, but again, it might take a really long time to able to do this process thingy right there. So anyways, let's go ahead and place those, Power Moons inside the actual Odyssey itself, and let's see how much we've got so far. 611! Jeez, we've now reached over 600 now, so pretty impressive actually. So, anyways, so as you can see, we've now changed back into Builder Mario just because of Super Mario Maker 2 will be on its way for the Nintendo Switch, which I'm happy about. So, we got endings up for this point right there, so join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Odyssey. It's the fact that we're hopefully trying to complete everything in Metro Kingdom, like Power Moons and regional coins. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.